I'm legally insane, and I'm about to show you 7 PS1 bangers. We're talking nothing but bangers. Guaranteed there's at least 1 or 2 games in here that you had no idea even existed. And you know why that is? Because only someone who's legally insane, like myself, knows about all of the bangers. And that's what we got here. And I'm going to show you, these are all recent pickups, every single one of them. All my videos in recent days are nothing but recent pickups. And it just so happens that I only pick up hidden gems and bangers. That's all I get. I can't help it. Every game I touch turns to gold. And I'm going to show you why I got these games. And more importantly, why you might also be interested in some of these games. So let's go through them in no particular order. Number 1. Got this from my favorite retro game store that I've been visiting a lot lately. And in my last video where I picked up Starshot for the N64, steal of a deal pricing, and the owner of the store called the cops on me, I couldn't find this game. I looked in there and I couldn't find it. So I decided, well, let me go on the website because he still has it there. I'm just going to order it off the website and see what happens. And he'll make him go try and find it because I couldn't find it in the display case. And it turns out they did find it. So it was in stock. This is Armored Core. And I got a steal of a deal price on it. See if the camera will pick that up. This camera's kind of garbage. I paid $60 Armored Core PlayStation 1. Steal of a freaking deal because guess what? I don't know if you've been following what's been going on with the Armored Core prices. This is the OG, very first Armored Core ever made. Damn! PlayStation 1, I think it came out in 1997. Prime time year for the PlayStation 1. Prime frickin' time, and you got classics like Armored Core. Now, I paid $60 plus tax, but it price charts. Let's pull up the chart here. Where did I write it? Here it is. Price charting has this at $157. Recent sold listings, commonly going into 180 Canadian dollars. All of my prices are in Canadian dollars. So if you're American, you're going to have to do the conversion. But the only thing that you really need to know is that I paid $60, but it's worth $160. Do the math. That's what we call a steal of a deal, and that's why the owner, he's calling the cops on me all the time. I go into the store, he calls the cops. I haven't even bought anything yet. I haven't even done anything. And he's already calling the cops. Phones him up. He's back again. He's going to steal from me again. He's back. You need to arrest this guy. And then I buy something and I get out of there before the cops show up. CIB. CIB, bitches. I only buy CIB. Most of the time. Most of the time. So anyways, this is a really interesting game series because prior to the Armored Core series, Mech Warrior was the go-to a mech style game. Mech Warriors and Gundam style games. And I don't even hear about Mech Warrior anymore. I don't even know if they still make video games. I don't think they do. But back in the day, Mech Warrior games were awesome. Even going back to the Super Nintendo. Like, Mech Warriors were really great freaking games. My personal favorite was the Mech Warrior games on the OG Xbox. And I played those on Xbox Live all the time. I had a freaking blast. And here's what you guys don't know about that. You could do 2-player co-op, same console, on Xbox Live. That's unbeatable. More games need to do that, and too many games don't do it. I'm talking split screen. Me and a buddy, couch co-op, on the same Xbox, can go online and play against other people, but we get to team up. and go get other. And you could do 2 versus 2 versus 2 versus 2. You could do free for alls. You could do team versus team. There were so many options. I'm pretty sure you could do the 2v2 v2 v2 option. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure we did it. My memory says that you could do it. So that's what this is. Armored Core is like a third-person shooter mech style game. And by the way, on a ranking on GameRant.com, they ranked the top 15 Armored Core games, and this one hit number 9 out of 15. That's not bad considering this is the very first one. It beat out many of the sequels. That's not bad. 1997 game making it as number 9? That ain't bad. We're going to save the best for last, by the way, which means next up is going to be Legend of Dragoon. I had 2 copies of this. I sold one, which I traded it in, and I got ripped off. $35. But it wasn't too bad. I was all right with it because I figured I was going to sell it local. I would have taken $35. I paid $28 for it, and the case was busted up. So I was happy to take $35 trade-in. I didn't care. Legend of Dragoon, CIB. I only get the CIBs. Now, this is the greatest hits version, and I don't remember. I think the one that I traded in might have been Black Label, which is generally worth more because people don't like the green greatest hits, and plus Black Label is your first print run. And by the way, Legend of Dragoon is an RPG similar to Final Fantasy VII. This was made by Sony. This was their attempt to kill Final Fantasy. Their job was to absolutely obliterate the Final Fantasy franchise and take over as the top dog. And I think that they could have done it if the game was released earlier. This came out in the year 2000, if I'm not mistaken. And I just feel like if they could have made this in 1998, they could have had a chance to become the top dog. That's my opinion. I just think it needed to come out earlier. 2000 was a little bit of a late release for a PlayStation 1 game. And they just missed the boat. I'm telling you, they missed the boat. Now, what made this special is that they invested $16 million and over 100 employees to make this game. 3 years in development. 3 freaking years. This really was meant to kill Final Fantasy. And to this day, so it obviously did not kill Final Fantasy because no one, back in the day, I didn't know anybody talking about this game. We were talking about Final Fantasy 7s, we were talking about Final Fantasy Anthology, we were talking about Final Fantasy 8, we were talking about Final Fantasy 9, not so much. Not so much on that one, no. I think people had moved on from that one. It got bad reviews at the time or just kind of ignored at the time. It's a cult classic today, but at the time, it was ignored. I know, because I was there during the time. If you're a young buck watching this video, you weren't there. I was there. I was in the trenches fighting for the PlayStation versus the Sega Saturn. And we made fun of the kid that we knew that had the Sega Saturn. We were friends with him. And looking back on it now, I feel bad because the kid would always try to invite us over to his house to play the Sega Saturn. He wanted to prove to us that it was a good console. And he's like, come on, guys. Like, I've got all these great games. I got, what did he have? Panzer Dragoon, I think it was called. I got Panzer Dragoon. It's a great game. Come on over. It's the best game on the console. I got this game. I got Resident Evil just like you do. I got all these games. And we were making fun of him. We said, come on, buddy. There's no such thing as a good Sega Saturn game. Why don't you sell it and get a PlayStation, you moron? Why don't you do that? That's what he should have done. and it turns out Panzer Dragoon was an awesome game. He was right. I didn't know that at the time. You know, we never went over to his house. We never did. Poor guy. Oh well. That's what happens, you know, when you get a Sega Saturn. So, Legend of Dragoon, yeah, Final Fantasy killer. Oh yeah, and I never played it before. So, this is on my to beat list along with 100 other games, but I will beat that game. I will. I've heard nothing but great things. It is literally a cult classic today. Everybody has become aware of this game's existence now. And the true RPG fans, they have either played it now or they have it on their list to play. Because it's a well-known title now. Much well-known, better well-known today than it was ever back then.
Nigel, he cut my head off. Did you see that? He cut my head off.
What a wuss.
Now playing on PlayStation, rated T for teens.
PlayStation.
All right, guys. here, I'll quickly show you this one. It's not CIB. I know. I lied when I said I only get CIB. I know. But hear me out. Hear me out. I got a good deal. Jackie Chan Stuntmaster. I got a good deal, guys. I paid $40. It price charts. What is it price chart for? Ah, crap. Where'd the paper go? Uh-oh. Oh, yeah. I paid $60 for Legend of Dragoon. And price charting has it around $56 for the greatest hits title. But if it's Black Label, you're looking at 90 plus. Recent sold listings, 90 plus. And Jackie Chan Stuntmaster paid $40. It price charts for $71.86. Loose disc recent sold listings go for $80 or more. Okay? So, and my original intent was to sell this and flip it. But then I said, well, frig, it's an awesome game. This happens commonly where I'll buy something with the intent to flip it. I could easily get $60 for this local. Easily. 50% profit. Easy. Boom. Easy flip. But then I never do end up flipping them because they're awesome games. So I still haven't sold it. I'm not gonna sell it. I'm gonna keep it. I'm gonna beat it. It's a action platformer beat 'em up, and it's one of the best games on the entire console. Jackie Chan Stuntmaster. Pick it up today if you're interested. It has one flaw, and that's it. That it's not two-player. That's the only flaw. And it was released in the year 2000, by the way. All right, next up, another quick one. Courier Crisis, and I already know what you're thinking. If you've heard of this game, I already know what you're thinking. You're thinking this game sucks. You said you only get bangers and hidden gems, and this, sir, is not a banger or a hidden gem. And I tell you otherwise, good sir. I tell you it is a hidden gem, and it is a banger, because this game is so bad that it's actually good. And it's cheap. You like cheap games? Well, here's a cheap game for you. Courier Crisis. Okay. So I've wanted this for a very long time. It's not too common, though. To get a good condition copy for a good price is actually very difficult to do. I think it had a low print run, to be honest, because they probably knew it wasn't very good. They probably knew. So this is a Crazy Taxi ripoff. This is the poor man's Crazy Taxi. A very low budget Crazy Taxi, but they tried to do some unique things. So you are, believe it or not, a courier bike driver. You ride a bicycle. You're a downtown courier guy. And this is actually a legitimate thing in big cities where courier delivery men exist and they ride bikes because it's faster and cheaper than driving a car downtown where you can't even park anyway. So you need a bicycle. It's a legitimate business. It's a legitimate career. And what makes it unique is not only are you in a bicycle instead of a taxi, and instead of picking people up, you're picking up packages from people. So you're still finding people on the street just like Crazy Taxi, but you're picking up packages. You're delivering it for money like Crazy Taxi. And you have a time limit per level. But what makes it extra unique is that you can punch and kick people. As you're passing by, you got to knock those citizens out of the way. And because they're blocking you, they're hindering your progress to making a good time. So you beat the hell out of your citizens. It's like a Grand Theft Auto, like a very early Grand Theft Auto type of deal. So what's interesting about this, so this got really bad reviews. And let's go over some of the bad points. So it got bad reviews because it says it has terrible handling and terrible bike handling and terrible controls. I've played the game. I could verify that to be true. It does have terrible controls. They're the worst controls. Oh my gosh. It'll make your head spin. Basically, you'll want to kill yourself after playing it for 5 minutes. I tried to strangle myself with the controller. And my friend who was sitting beside me at the time, she actually stopped me from doing it. I was almost gonna die. I was about ready to pass out. I was really yanking real hard. And she stopped me, snapped me out of it. It's just, it was a trance that a really bad game can put you in. It has repetitive level design. Oh gosh, all the levels look the same. They're complete garbage design. By the way, the game is based in San Francisco, and some of the locations are actually based on real locations. To a certain extent, they did the best they could, but recognizable names and locations. Sharp difficulty curve. First 4 levels are boringly easy, as in too easy, and then it ramps up to impossibly insane. Yeah, I can verify I've played the game. Yeah, that's exactly what happens. Oh yeah, and the draws distance sucks. Probably due to hardware limitations and or terrible programmers. Probably the combination of the two. Some programmer that hadn't even completed school. Probably some high school kids programmed this for cheap labor. And the draw distance being so bad means you constantly run into obstacles that you could have otherwise avoided, only because the game hadn't loaded them onto the screen yet. So you can't really avoid hitting the obstacles or the hazards for that reason. And this is all true. But on the difficulty front, in the game's defense, this game can be beaten. You just have to learn how to do tricks. So you're going to have to do fancy moves and tricks and run off fancy jumps and stuff like that to actually be able to progress. So here's the thing. All of these things combined, does that sound like a bad game? Yeah, absolutely. But that's what gives the game its charm. You got to add some bad games to your inventory. You got to spice up the variety of games that you play. These games are fun to play. You get some buddies over. You pop her in for 15 minutes and you turn her off and you switch games. You all have a good laugh. It's hilarious. You're going to have a good time. By the way, it's 1 a.m. and I'm still drinking my G Fuel out of my Macho Man Randy Savage G Fuel cup. We got ourselves some G Fuel, Battletoads G Fuel. So I'm wired to the frickin' moon here, guys, and I gotta go to work in the morning. How I'm gonna do that, I don't know. How they haven't fired me, that's a real question. That's the only question any of you should even be asking. How does this guy even have a job? I don't know. I really don't. I'm being honest with you. I don't know. I'll never know. I don't think they know why I work there either. Okay, next gym. Oh yeah, this is a friggin' monster hit, guys. This is a monster hit. Alien Trilogy. Alien Trilogy. Look at this. Look at it. Look at it. If you need to put a diaper on, go put a diaper on. You do what you gotta do. Look at that advertisement there for WWF arcade game. That looks awesome too. Oh man, that's such a good game. I gotta buy that game. The PlayStation 1. Don't get the Super Nintendo version though. You have to get the PlayStation. Oh man, that game is so good. Oh. Okay. Alien Trilogy. I got this because it's one of the best games ever made. Oh yeah, Courier Crisis. I paid $22. It's worth about $22. But it's hard to find. So Alien Trilogy, I paid $32. CIB. Price charts for $40.32. eBay sold listings averaging in recent times between $45 and $55. Game was released in 1996, so it's a fairly early release. Fairly early. Over 30 levels, has CGI cutscenes, which was a big deal back then. Gotta remember that. Very big deal. Okay? Somewhat follows the plot of the movies, I do believe. So this is a game I've wanted my entire life. Since the day this game was released, I've been chasing after this. So what has that been? 20, 30 years I've been chasing this game? At least 20 years, let's say. I don't know how long it's been. I can't do math in my head. But I've been chasing this game since 1996. It's now 2023 at the time I'm recording this. And I finally have this game. That's how long it's been that I've been chasing her. I've been chasing her down. And I finally got her. And here's the thing. I wanted this game. I know the game's good. I don't even need to look into it. I haven't even played it. And I don't need to play it. I know the game is a masterpiece. Because guess what? I used to go to Rogers Video every single week during the NES, Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis, PlayStation 1, N64 era. Every single week. So whatever time period that they had the PlayStation 1, I tried to rent that game every single week. And every single week, I'm not exaggerating, it was rented. It was never in stock. And I even asked the workers, why is this game never in stock? I'm desperately trying to rent it. And the one time, the one lady actually told me that it keeps getting re-rented mostly by the same guy. He rents it every week. He's probably poor like me. That's why we're at Rogers Video. We can't afford to buy video games. But we can muster up $5 per week from allowances and or mowing lawns, shoveling driveways, delivering newspapers. I did all of it. And we can rent a game once a week. It cost $5 back in the day. $5 Canadian. And some son of a bitch rented this, and I never got to play it. But the fact that he did that says it's the best game ever made. Otherwise, why would he do that? So I already know it's really freaking good. So that's a banger. That's a hidden gem and a banger. And you might want to look into that. I'm telling you, if you have a PlayStation 1 and you don't know about that game and you don't own that game, you might want to check it out. All right, next up, guys. Hear me out. Yes. Yes, I did. I did it. Spice World. Spice World. Spice World. Canadian edition. See if the camera will pick that up, because this camera's a piece of junk. For Canadian use only. So if you're not Canadian, you're not allowed to buy this. But thanks to the awesome world of eBay and 2023 technology called the internet, you can get your hands on a copy of For Canadian use only Spice World for the PlayStation 1. Now I got this because, one, I love dance games. Busta Groove 1 and 2 are the best dance games ever made. Busta Groove 2 in particular, one of the best games ever made, period. But in terms of dance games, it's definitely the best dance game ever made. Definitely. Best rhythm game and dance game combined. Busta Groove 2, check that one out. I used to play that 24/7. And my brother had awesome surround sound speakers at the time. One of the best sound systems ever made. He spent like $1,000 on it back in the 90s. That's a lot of freaking money. And it made the game that much better. You gotta have a good sound system. You play a game like that, you gotta have good sound system. Okay, so I got Spice World because, yeah, it's a dance game, rhythm game, and it's Spice Girls. Come on, guys. Come on. I couldn't turn it down. I had to get it. I paid like $9, $8 for it. It price starts for like $9 or $10. So it's not worth much. I don't think it'll ever be worth much. But I'll just mention one thing real quick. Spice Girls were very popular back in the day. And back then I originally hated them. But us men, they were mostly popular amongst the women, but us men would still talk about them because Ginger Spice was super hot. Baby Spice was super hot. We would make fun of Sporty Spice, and it was like how you could make fun of a friend of yours. You could be like, you know, oh, this guy likes Sporty Spice, like, you know, kind of retard likes Sporty Spice. Like she was, you know, supposed to be the ugly one of the group, right? But at the same time, we would also critique the members, and we'd be like, hey, Sporty Spice is the only one that can actually sing. Like she's carrying the team because she's actually really good at singing. So that's what she brings to the table. Who else was there? Oh, Posh Spice, I think they called her. I really don't think she did anything other than look pretty. I don't even remember her singing, to be honest. And Scary Spice, nobody liked Scary Spice. No one cared. She was just like in the background. Yeah, we don't care about you. But Ginger Spice and Baby Spice, yeah, this is what we came for. You know, when you watch the videos on Much Music. That's the only reason. We liked the videos. Oh, men loved watching those videos. They were some good videos. Some of them, at least. Yeah, and they got all the good songs. They're classics now. They're 90s classics. Like, that's peak 90s pop music. And finally, the best for last. This is a hidden gem, Magic the Gathering Battleground, or Battle Mage. Battlegrounds is the Xbox version that's actually 100 times better than this one. This is 2-player. This is a real-time strategy game. I got this on eBay. I paid $22.85. It price charts for $18.66, but a lot of recent sold listings between like $25 and $30. Very hard to find a good condition copy. This one is mint. Absolute mint. 2-player. You can do head-to-head matches in 2-player. So here's the thing about this game. You don't need to know anything about Magic the Gathering card game to play this game. That's number one. Number two, it got bad reviews. but mostly because all of the reviewers were complete morons. And for example, one of the complaints amongst reviewers was, well, this is nothing like the card game. I wanted to play the card game. Okay, well, guess what? If you want to play the card game, go play the card game. Why are you playing on a Sony PlayStation? Haven't you heard there's a card game called Magic the Gathering that the game is based on? That you play with cards? Why don't you go play with the cards? So that's number one. Number two, they complained that it was difficult because the computer can cast the spells faster than you. You got to select the cards, and you know the spell casting is much slower, and you got to move the cursor, and you got to do this, and you got to do that. I beat the game multiple times, and I didn't think it was too difficult. Yeah, sometimes you'll lose. Like, sometimes it's kind of the luck of the draw, to be honest. But then you just start again. Because here's the thing. That the world, basically your objective is to take over the entire map. The entire world. So you're playing on like a risk board. There's different countries. Different levels. Or territory that you need to take over. Different territory with different mana affiliations. So you got, you know, the swampy land over there. There's going to be some black related creature maybe lives there. A black wizard lives there. Black mage of some sort. Lots of different variety. But more in particular, typically if you take over that territory, you get something like more black mana or black cards or something like that. New spells. So you're basically taking over territory to acquire more spells and more power and more mana, I think. And then you're also building your deck. As you acquire spells, those are your cards that become your deck. So it's really fun. It's very beatable. And interestingly enough, there's a lot of diplomacy. And it is possible to actually beat the game without doing any combat. Because there's different diplomacy tactics that you can do. You can take over a territory just using diplomacy. Or you can take over a territory and not even have to fight to acquire new spells with diplomacy. And also it has one of the best CGI intros, or video intros of any PlayStation 1 game. And here's the other interesting thing about this game. I did do a lot of head-to-head matches against buddies back in the day. And it was really fun. The head-to-head matches were fun. I had a blast with it. It's nowhere near as good as the Xbox version. OG Xbox. But it's still fun. It's like a primitive version of the OG Xbox. I'm sure that they took some inspiration from this game when they built the battle mode in the OG Xbox game. They have, probably the designers had played this and they said, okay, this is a great starting point. Now what can we do to modernize this and make it 100 times better? But this is an absolute classic. I'm so happy to have this back in my collection. I'm going to beat this game again. Just know that it's a great game, and right here at the back it says command over 200 creatures, artifacts, and spells from the 4th edition and Mirage sets of Magic. Those are some OG Magic the Gathering cards in this game. When did this game come out? Did I write that down? I didn't write that down. That was probably an early release. Let's say 96. 96, 97. Close enough. Guys, if you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing to the channel. I am trying to get to over 9,000 subscribers. On my way to collecting over 9,000 retro video games. My apartment is like a hoarder's home. Okay, this is only one section of my retro games. I've got a whole other section over there. And I've got games all over the floor because I ran out of shelf space. I've run out of space. I'm trying to do a complete reorganization. But if you want to see me turn my entire home into nothing but a hoarder's home with games stacked so high that the building management in this apartment kick me out of here so I'm living on the frickin' streets. If you want to see me living on the streets from a retro game addiction that ruins my entire life, and I'll never sell those games. I'll never sell them. They'll go into a storage unit if they kick me out of here. And I'll live in the storage unit. I'll secretly live in there. I'll do whatever it takes. I'll hide in the bins at nighttime in my own storage unit. If you want to see that happen, please consider subscribing to the channel and check out my other videos. I've got lots of them.
In the heart of the omniverse of Dominaria, deep within the nexus of all planes of power, the world of Dominaria exudes the greatest mana.
Green magic gets its life from the lush fertility of the forest. Its power ranges from soothing serenity to thunderous destruction.
Black magic's power comes from the swamps and bogs, thriving on death and decay.
White magic draws its vitality from untouched open plains and focuses on healing protection and the chivalrous arts of war. Blue magic flows from the islands and thrives on mental energies, unleashing the elemental forces of air and water.
Red magic feeds on the vast energy boiling deep in the heart of mountains and reveling in the unbridled violence of chaos and combat.
Together, the magic of the 5 mana can harmonize mankind or become the most powerful destructive force capable of ripping apart the universe.